All right. I think it is time. Hey, folks, I am Justin Jones with Resultant. I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar, Creating Unforgettable Fan Experiences with Event and Venue Data. We do have a great group of people from various sports organizations and event venue management companies and some that aren't, but that's okay. I think you'll all be able to take valuable insights and best practices and potentially any new ideas away that might benefit you and your own companies and your own use cases. FYI, we will be recording this and ask that if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. We have 10 minutes or so at the end for Q&A. Now I will introduce the speakers. Machelle Noel and Brian Vincent. Machelle is currently the Director of Business Intelligence for the Texas Rangers Baseball Club, where she has been for 18 years now. Brian Vincent is with Resultant, has been here for 18 years, and is a client success leader and principal consultant, mainly focused in our sports analytics and healthcare practice. Welcome, you too.
Thanks, Justin.
Before we get started, we do have an icebreaker question coming off of the Super Bowl that we think is fun and to get this thing started. So if we can get that question, that should show up in the chat. Okay.
Great question.
Did you all enjoy the Super Bowl halftime show? Yes, no, or only left shark?
Only left shark. That's a few Super Bowls ago, but that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I did like the
Yeah.
roller.
I did. I like the roller skates too. I think it depends on how, like, your age is, how
Yeah.
much you really enjoyed that thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Joe, anything else? Or are we ready to go?
No, I think I'll turn it over to you guys.
Great. Well, thanks for the introduction. Michelle, thanks for hanging out with me as always.
Of course.
And so let's jump in to our agenda. We're gonna get started with just what did the Rangers used to do? And we'll roll into a change that you guys made. And then we'll talk about the most recent stuff that you've done around fan experience and all that fun stuff. And then at the end, like Justin said, we'll jump in and answer any questions. If you post them to the Q&A, we'll get to those and then we'll wrap stuff up at the end. So thanks again for being here, everybody. Great to be with you all. And so not a whole lot in our slides. Like, we're not doing a lot of bullet points or anything, but just wanted to have a conversation with Michelle. We've worked together for 8 years or
At
so.
least, I think. Yeah, because we started our data journey like in 2013 on Tableau. So yeah, and then you guys came in real soon after we got started.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about where you guys started. So you're in this new amazing facility. You just won the World Series this past season. It wasn't always that way.
Oh no, I was gonna say it started long before that.
Yeah.
Yes. So okay, I didn't know if you had more to say. I
No.
didn't want to interrupt
No,
you.
go right ahead.
So I guess again, our journey started with wanting to know more about data in around 2013 is when we brought Tableau on board. And at the time, we really didn't have a business analytics team, a set team. There was myself at the time. I was in IT. There was someone from the ticketing side, someone from the marketing side, someone from our CRM. And we just got together and said, okay, we have these pieces of data, very little pieces of data compared to what we have now. But what do our managers or our executive team, what do they need to see to make better decisions? So we started with what we had.
Which what was it like?
It's a little bit of like ticketing data, mainly ticketing data and some marketing data in spreadsheets.
Okay.
And we just took it from there, started building some reports, putting things together, having meetings where more questions would come up. And then fast forward several years. I mean, we made some really good discoveries during that period, and we realized how important this was. So in 2018, we were knighted as an official business analytics department.
Okay.
And from there, and in 2018 is when we started thinking about building this facility and what we would need to do in order to advance what we had, because we knew we were going to get so much more.
Yeah.
And what was that going to look like?
Yeah. So at that point, like, what did you guys know about fans? Did you
Oh,
Did you have any data? Was it just, we know how many are here?
we know how many are here. Because we had access to the ticketing system, our ticket data was on-prem. We could tell, we knew who bought tickets and we knew fans that would come in the gates. But again, the systems from the other, which is now Choctaw Stadium, from the other stadium was not as high tech, right? It was not built, it wasn't built back when, and you know, we could do as much as we could with what we were getting, but we knew scan information, but we really couldn't put things together.
Yeah.
You know, we had this
who
silo,
the fan is.
right? We had this silo of data here. We had this silo of data here. We had a whole bunch of missing pieces that we have now that we got. But so yeah, it was, we were just starting on the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like, you didn't really understand a lot about your fans at that point. What about like business operations data? Did you guys have to pull together reports or?
Yeah, again, a lot of it lived in, you know, like this, the security department knew what they did and the guest services department kind of knew what they did, but it was all based on Excel spreadsheets or like handwritten documents or whatever. It was just a mess, which a lot of people I'm sure understand and can relate to.
Probably, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I bet there's folks out there that understand that.
Yes.
So like at the end of a game, like how did you guys understand all of the revenue and like what had happened, you know, at that point when you were in Choctaw, what we locals refer to as the ballpark?
The old park. Yeah, I call it the old park. But well, you know, we kind of, again, we weren't really an official business analytics department then. That was all in accountings. That was in their wheelhouse. Like that was a job and a function that they did. So they would take, you know, there would be overnight reports that would come in from DNC, which is our concessionaire and our retail. There would be information that would come from our ticketing system, and they would every morning, the next morning after a game, they would accumulate all of that together and come out with this big report. And sometimes it would take half a day or so, or late morning, for all of that information to be accumulated and put into an Excel document, which then they would email out.
Yeah.
So that's how and where it lived, was an accounting function.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what happened next.
What happened next? So again, official business analytics department in 2018 started thinking about, okay, now how can we structure this a little bit more? How can we better suit or give information to the departments that we want to serve? What's going to happen when we move into this great big ballpark, this brand new state-of-the-art technology, right? And not everybody has not everybody's fortunate enough to have had the infrastructure like we had whenever we were building this. We have great partners in IT that help us and really set us up for success with what we have here.
I think, I mean, so we went through this journey with you guys and
yes.
and came in and we're like, hey, where are you? Where do you think you are? And so I remember one of the conversations we had, and we'll talk about this framework that we borrowed about data maturity. We'll talk about this a little more in depth here in a second. But I remember one of the conversations with your technology guys was like, hey, we can even keep track of what's going on in the bathrooms. Like we know if we need to change the paper towel rolls in this stadium.
It's crazy the amount of data that we have here and stuff that keeps coming online, more and more stuff. But whenever I found out that we could have sensors on the supplies in the bathroom, I was like, really? That's where we can go with this?
Yeah. So if you come to the Globe Life Field, make sure you wash your hands because they can tell.
That's not true. That's not true. But we do know that you've used the paper towels. So
okay, that's good. That's good. So when we came in, you guys said we're moving to this new ballpark. You contacted me because we've been working on some Tableau stuff together, some Alteryx stuff together. But you recognize that we have all these separate pieces of data. Now we have this analytics department. Like, how do we wield the power of an analytics department? Because everybody has their own stuff. How do we move forward and how do we mature? And so we came in and did what Resultant calls a strategic data assessment, and we kind of walked through this with you and asked you and your VP of ticketing and your marketing and your sponsorships and HR and accounting. Like we worked with a lot of folks, events.
Yeah, I think you sat down with just about every department,
And we asked
yeah,
everybody where they thought they were.
production, yeah,
Yep.
all of it.
Where they thought the Rangers were in this by department and then overall. And what was that like?
So I knew what we had in our heads of what we wanted to do, right? So I said, I believe I said we were in tactical level 2. I said, I think we're here because I knew what else we needed to do and what we wanted to do. I didn't have the scope of perception or putting it in perspective. I didn't have the scope of perspective like you guys have. So when you knew where we were and compared to everybody else, you disagreed with me, which I still believe that we're at, well, okay, we might have moved up another level, but yeah.
I think you guys made a lot of progress. And so for folks who have not seen this maturity model before, so the top half of it is the organizational culture itself, because yes, analytics and data are super important, but there's also like the change management side, and how do you tell people what you have, and how do you get people to use the new stuff that's available? So like, not that you should go around tooting your own horn, but how do you let people know we have ice cream data now? If you're talking to an ice cream sponsor, like we can tell you more about that.
Well, that was actually something that came out in all of these meetings that we never really had the chance to talk about, again, because we were such a new department and data was new to a lot of our departments and people within the organization. And we're like, okay. And we were sitting down with, I don't remember who, but several, I think it happened within several of the departments. We're like, well, they would ask a question. It's like, yeah, we have that. And we're like, what? Yeah, we have that. You need to ask something else. Yep, we have that. So it was an eye-opening exercise for other departments within our organization too, that we now have access to, for them to know that we now have access to this stuff. So that was really good. It was a good way to communicate and to make everybody aware of the potential.
And then the bottom half of this model is more around the data and information access itself, because I mean, you might have governance across stuff and you might like think that, yeah, we're doing really great, but is everybody using their own data mart? Like when we look at things, and one of the things I think we help the Rangers with at Resultant is not looking just at the technical side, like this is the thing that you need to do.
Here's the light.
I'll grab one real quick. Not just the technical stuff, but also how do you roll it out? So like, do you need governance on it? Yeah, in some form or fashion, but let's make sure we right size it. And then how do you let people know the change management side of it? And so we look at the people, the process, and the technology, not just, hey, you should do a data warehouse.
Yeah, and that's where it was also discovered, and a light bulb and eye-opening to me, that there was so many things across the organization that were being duplicated. Information that a department would do or create that was specific for them and what they needed, but probably 80% of what they were creating was also being done by 5 other departments. So it's like, okay, so that was a good place for us to think about where to start, right? Let's get all of this kind of stuff consolidated and give them other information to supplement what they need to make their jobs and their decisions even better. Yeah. And it's funny, we were talking about state-of-the-art facility. This really is, because I don't know, you guys have noticed that if we don't move very much, the lights will go out. so if you see us like just doing this, it's to turn the lights back on.
For sure. So this is a helpful tool to start with. I mean, it might not work in every situation, but most organizations like know that they're in this area and want to get a little bit better. And so it's just a nice kind of diagnostic tool and gives you stuff to aim for. Because a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. Like you don't know that you can really do a predictive analytics strategy,
Yeah.
or even something like Gen AI, like we were talking about, at lunch
Right.
before we came here.
Yeah. Well, and it gave us an idea. Again, we had thoughts about where we needed to go. This gave us more structure.
Yeah.
So we knew exactly what we needed to do to move from one level to the next.
Yeah. And so let's move in and talk to that part of it. What was the approach? So we came in, we did a data assessment. We said end goal, like in 3 years, is you should have a data warehouse, because you have so much data across so many different systems, like in the slide here, that it would be nice for you guys to put that all in one spot so you can answer a lot of questions. But let's not boil the ocean and like start with that. Like, let's start with a targeted approach, and let's bite off one or two pieces at a time and see how it works, and show people it works, and tell us a little bit about how we did that.
So, and help me remember, because we've done so much, but ticketing and marketing are bread and butter.
Yeah.
Right. So let's, and those were data sources that we were already familiar with. So let's start there.
Yeah.
And let's formalize that a little bit more, do some aggregations with that makes sense. And then, okay, we've moved into this facility. Now we have concessions and retail data. Now we have a much better gate scan analysis, kind of or numbers. We know where people are coming in and at what time. Parking data. So yeah, we wanted to do it as just let's take small bites of the elephant, but really all of these pieces were so important to a game day operation that, and we were getting it. So we put in the data pipe, right? Using Alteryx. So we got the data in. It's like, okay, how we bring in and what we do with the parking data is really not much different than how we bring in and what we do with the concessions data. It's still reporting off of it.
Right.
So at the time, the first step was let's just report it.
Yeah.
Let's just, instead of trying to also analyze it at first, let's just get it out there for people to see.
Let's get it out of the system. Let's get it out of the cloud and put it on our place where we can access it and
put it here, get it out into, and we use Tableau as our visualization. Let's get it out to the people that were looking at it a day or two later, and you couldn't use it to make any decisions off of. Let's at least get them the information. And then the next step is, okay, now let's help them analyze it a little bit better, make correlations, put it together. So yeah, the first step was really just putting it in a format that they could get to.
Yeah.
And and that led to so many other more questions.
Yeah.
Right. And so many more things. Okay, well, so then, okay, we see how many people come in our gates and how many people have parked, but how does where they park relate to what gate they're coming in to? And then how does that relate to when they're at the concession stands, in relation to when the game starts or whatever was happening within the game. So it's just an evolution, or it just evolves into, okay, we have this, and now we can do this, and now we can do this, and now we can do that, and what else we can do.
And so by biting off one chunk at a time, by starting with tickets and that sort of stuff, and then moving to parking and retail and those types of things, and being able to bring those in more than at the end of the day, right?
Well,
or at the end of the game.
That's something that I failed to mention. So now, instead of these other departments, whoever has ownership of the data, sending it to accounting and accounting doing it the next day, we could be in control of when that data comes in. So on a game day, we're bringing in gate counts every 3 to 5 minutes, right? Ticket sales, real-time ticket sales, concessions and retail sales every 5 to 8 minutes, that kind of stuff. So now it's real time, and you can make decisions off of that in real time.
Yeah, I think that one of the things you told me about was like bobbleheads, hats, like promotion items where you have to do a secondary scan.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
So again, using the technology of the facility, we are able to, on a promotional night, if there's a bubble, whatever we're giving away, you scan your ticket to come in, but then you also scan your ticket to get your item.
Because I know people back in the day,
Oh man, it's amazing what
they would
people
end
would
up with
do.
20 bobbleheads.
It just blows my mind how creative some people were of how they can get extra promotional items.
But
But,
nowadays, you guys wised up to that and figured out that we can make people scan a second time.
Yeah, so
That
you-
way,
so you-
one thing per ticket.
Yeah.
But how do you
yes.
make sure that you have enough stuff in each place where people are coming in?
So that's a report that we do on days that we have promotions, and it shows how many of those secondary scans or those promotional scans are happening at each gate. So our promotions department can monitor that. And we already kind of know from history that 47% of our fans come in this gate and 23% come in that gate, or, whatever. So they can kind of divvy up the percentages based on historic, but they can also track it during a game and say, oh, wait a minute, because we don't want one gate to run out ahead of another.
Bad fan experience.
Exactly. So we're trying, we try to make all the gates kind of be done and be out of their items at around the same time.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So near real time, every 3 to 5 minutes, you're pulling data down from these different places, parking, retail, that sort of stuff. You know, talk about my favorite meeting that I've ever been a part of with the Rangers.
Yeah, I'll let you bring it. I'll let you start. It's just so crazy to me. Okay.
All right. So one day I was over here meeting with Machelle and her team. We were talking about, I think, how to scale stuff up and like what the next step looks like to aggregate this data that's coming from all over the place, so that you're not, reporting from Tableau or whatever visualization tool you use off of transactions, but you're doing it off of aggregate, through some dimensional modeling or whatever. And so we're in the meeting, and it was a couple of seasons ago. And
Yeah, it was at least
it
two
was
or
before
three.
Seeger and
Well,
Simeon were
well, you think we didn't have fans in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think it was in 2021 that we were talking about
So this place had opened, and it was a bit of a struggle on the field. And so the announcers on the broadcast were having a hard time,
well, they were
filling,
they were talking about other things.
talking about other things, not
Yeah.
necessarily what was going on in the field. And
Yeah.
so we're in this meeting, and one of the IT guys goes, "Hey, they were talking on the broadcast last night, because on Wednesdays it's dollar hot dog night for home games. I wonder how many hot dogs have been sold tonight." And we're sitting in the meeting, and I see Michelle's jaw hit the floor because
Hello, I know that number. All you gotta do is ask, and we have the data. We know.
Yeah. And so we joked about it, and I was like, that would be a fun dashboard.
That would be fun. Yeah. So then curiosity. I mean, I'm always like this little thing. I was like, you know what? That would be really interesting to see. So I go back that afternoon, just pulling the numbers, create this little dashboard, like a hot dog icon and all the colors and all that kind of stuff. And I send it out to just the people that were in that meeting. Like, hey, look at the number of hot dogs we've had over the last couple of Wednesdays, or that Wednesday or whatever.
And it wasn't just look at the number of hot dogs, but you even did hot dogs per minute.
Yes, hot dogs per minute. And do you remember the 1 minute, in the chart, there was always a minute that was
blank.
really, really, or blank, or really, really little number. And that led to more questions, right? What's happening? Do you remember what it was?
National anthem.
National anthem.
Hot dogs are not sold while people are standing.
Well, nothing's sold,
right?
So it was funny that you could see that in the data.
Yeah.
So again, fun. This was fun. I think there were couple other conversations after that, again, just with the group, right? And it never really went anywhere. Didn't really ever do anything with it.
Until
jump forward, a year and a half later, my boss is sitting in a meeting with ownership and executives, and I think it was Chuck that brought it up. Chuck Morgan they were talking about doing something on the Jumbotron around hot dogs and with Wednesday dollar dog. And Katie says, well, you're in luck. As a matter of fact, Michelle's already built something like that. So it came up a year and a half later, but then we just really expanded on it. So now we bring it in through the production, and it goes up, that number, that tracker goes up on our video board.
On Wednesday nights, there's hot dog camp. It's
like
Kiss Cam, but better.
Yeah. And the count there of the hustle, and it is a real number. There have been different things on Reddit or whatever about whether the number is real, but I can assure you that it's a real number.
That's fun. That helps the fan experience too. And it's so silly because some little idea in a meeting
It was
leads
so
to
funny.
something that's now like part of production.
And everywhere we go, people talk about this.
Yeah.
People talk about the hot dog counter. And again, it was even on Reddit. And it's just crazy to me that just a little something silly like that
Yeah.
is what people gravitate
Yeah,
towards.
I love that. So let's talk about this modernization a little more, because one of the things in getting the data out of the systems and
Mhm.
putting it, for you guys, it's local, right? It's like an on-prem
On-prem.
SQL, but it could be Snowflake or Databricks or whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the things that affords you to do is, if somebody makes a decision to move off of one thing to another thing, you just have to go get the data from the new place. And
Right.
so I know, like with Major League Baseball, they provide the game unification data for all the clubs.
Yep.
I think you guys call it Gumbo.
We call it Gumbo. It's an acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
we love acronyms.
and so like when we started with you guys, that was like a replicated Oracle thing that MLB like gave you guys.
Yes.
You didn't have to worry about it. Like it was
Yep.
just there. So we would go grab it, suck it into your data lake,
Mhm.
and everything's great. And then some things happen, sponsorships happen, and that changes. And Gumbo moves from an Oracle replicated instance to Google Cloud, because Google
GCP.
Cloud's new partner of MLB, which is fantastic
Mhm.
and awesome. But that let us be flexible, right?
Yes. Well, so even go back to that or before that, we'll bring in new systems, right? So we'll bring in a new, I don't know, payroll system, whatever kind of new system.
Mhm.
And a lot of times the selling point of a system is, oh, we have all these dashboards, we have all these metrics, all this great stuff. And we're
Baked
like,
into the system.
baked into that system. We're like, that's great, but no, we want the raw data. We want to make sure that they have an API, because that's fine for the metrics for that system. But what we do is bring it in so that we can tie so many other things together with it. So for us, the data is more important than having the fancy dashboards within the software. So we like to bring it in so that we can do correlations, tying it a lot back to the Gumbo. So what Gumbo is it is for every minute we've taken it for every, well, not just every minute, but anything that happens within the game. So we're able to know what half inning we're in, who's pitching, what the score is. I mean, anything that has happened within the game. Because for baseball, you could be, let's say a game starts at 7:00. You could be still in the first inning at 7:30.
Yeah.
Well, not after the pitch clock now, but anyway, so we didn't really know what part of the game we were, because for us, it's more important what part of the game we're in versus what time it is.
So let's unpack that a little more. So what time it is. So when you're getting transactions from all these systems, it says that this person bought a hot dog at 3 p.m.
Mhm.
Great. You want to know, is 3 p.m. the first inning, second inning, top half of the third, bottom? Like,
are we winning? Are we losing? Who's pitching? Because it all correlate.
The time's not as relevant as where in the game the thing happened. And
right.
so Gumbo lets you take that data, munge it together, and say, now we know what's happening inning by inning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just Gumbo, we use other things, but the point is that since we have all of the data on-prem or in a system, it doesn't even have to be on-prem, but in one system that we can make the correlations for.
Yeah.
So, and then we can decide how we want to slice and dice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's see what the next thing is. Oh, it's interactive Q&A. Is there let's see. I think we had one more thing I wanted to talk about, because one of the things that I know your VP of IT, Mike Bullock, has talked about, and you and Katie have talked about, is this Globe Life Field Stadium is built for more than baseball.
Yes, we're an events facility. Oh, we got a dance.
Dance
like back on.
There they are.
Yeah, so we're a events facility. Actually, there's something going on in the field right now.
Yep.
But we do more than just baseball. We have concerts. We had the rodeo. We've done high school graduations. We have college baseball, like a whole bunch of stuff. Here.
And so looking forward, like what does that mean to you? Like, how does that affect your fans? Like, can you do like specialized marketing because you know people are attending different events?
Yeah,
and
so
not just baseball.
right. So now, and again, it depends on how and where tickets are sold through, what operating system it is, whether we're controlling the tickets or someone else. But now we can say, we can kind of make the correlations that someone that came to the rodeo may also be interested in, hey, we're going to have another rodeo.
Yeah.
Now we know that, again, just using that information that they were here before, and now we can market to them for other events.
Not just baseball fans,
Not just
but
baseball fans.
concert fans,
Yeah.
radio fans. Okay.
Yeah. And the operational reporting is the same because we're still selling tickets. We still have fans. We want to know where fans are parking, what gates they're coming into, how much they're buying in concessions. So that operational reporting is still the same.
Yeah.
So another thing too is talking about operational reporting. It's more than just the revenue numbers or that kind of stuff. We also do a lot around fan experience. So let's say, and here's a real example. We were tracking the phone calls that our receptionist gets or emails or questions that come into our guest services. And since we were tracking, sometimes you have a gut feel about things, but until you see the numbers and the data, you don't really know for sure. So we were seeing a lot of questions relating to our ADA parking. And we got to looking and we realized that we don't really have that. That message is not very well communicated. So we changed our messaging on our website. We changed and added information into the know before you go. And those numbers and those questions have really dropped.
That's really cool.
So we're taking that data and enhancing the fan experience.
Being proactive.
With that, yeah. Same way with survey data. There's a survey that goes out regarding, or anytime you purchase a ticket. So it's a post-purchase and then a post-attendance. So we ask different questions. So we're taking the answers and the data that come from those surveys and creating action items for other departments or using that to better enhance the fan experience.
Yeah. Let's move into Q&A, but before we do, I wanted to revisit the Oracle to Google Cloud thing. And I know that like Major League Baseball's given each club like a stipend for like this is part of the sponsorship and all that sort of stuff. But can you share at all like what that's looked like for you guys? Are you spending a lot with Google Cloud? Or are you able to avoid that because you're pulling the data down once a day? And
yeah, every club does things differently.
Yeah.
Right? But we decided as a club, because we had the benefit again of having a great IT structure already with the new stadium and what our folks in IT did for us, we had the benefit and we were able to bring all that stuff on-prem. So we just go out not nearly as often. Most of it is once a day. Some of it is more than that. And we have different schedules for different things. And we'll bring that incremental data down. And then we can report on it and run as many things and hit it as many times as we want because
off of
house. Our internal, our internal SQL versus clubs that strictly do all of their reporting through GCP. Every time someone runs that report or pings that data, it's going out and bringing it in.
Okay.
So we made the decision to bring it in. And again, everybody does it differently depending on what their structure is. But we just had the benefit of having all that server capacity on-prem.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Machelle.
You're welcome.
Mr. Jones, you got some questions for us?
We do have a couple. One thing I will say is it's really awesome to see you guys. You can tell that there's a lot of rapport and trust and just a good relationship. You guys have been working together for a while. So great presentation. I don't know if I'm hungry now for a hot dog or a cup of gumbo, but one or the other. So we do have a couple of questions. The first question that came in, this might be good for both of you. Machelle, we'll ask you to go first. In speaking about the data maturity curve slide that you showed, the chart assumes that the organization's desires are all data to all users. Not all companies are fully down with data democratization. So how does your governance model address this?
Do you share everything with everyone?
No,
Okay.
no. And there's a certain point, because I think, is this the slide that talks about predictive modeling and whether we have data visualization and all that kind of stuff and what we needed your help with?
Yeah.
Because I think, and again, this is just me saying this, I think we have because I know we can always get better, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're real good on data visualization. I think we do a good job of visualizing and presenting the data in a way that our consumers can easily interpret it. We're starting to get into the predictive model. Again, at the time, 3 or 4 years ago, we were just worried about, like, we were just wondering how we were going to get the data, right? Predictive modeling wasn't on the forefront as much as it is now, because we've already checked those boxes, right? We've moved forward. But that's one thing too, that we are able to say, okay, this set of information, and it might even still be ticketing data, but it might be at different levels of analysis. That certain levels go to all of our ticket folks, right? But then there are other things that our managers and executives are more privy to, because that's their world, right? The ticket world, the ticket seller world, they want to know what they are responsible for. Everybody has the job, right? They have their own job, and they don't need to be, I mean, they're selling tickets, right? It's some other levels that need to be worried and thinking about the strategy part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where, I hope that answers the question, but it's different departments are in different levels depending on what they need the data for.
Yeah. And I think that there's ways to look at data democratization. Like, there's some that say all data for everyone, but really, do you want your HR and payroll data available for everyone? And so there's some cases where it's good. So I know that, like, internally at Resultant, like, we have a data warehouse and we have all of our timesheet data for our consultants and the projects that they're on. And so, like, everyone, all of our consultants have access to that information in case they want to go figure something out, like how much time they spend on a client or whatever. And so, like, we want everyone to be able to, perform their job better and more effectively and understand where they're at. And so that's something that we elected to do. And there's governance around it, and there's row level security around certain pieces. But, like, there are times to restrict data and say it's only available for these types of people. But implementing a right size fit governance, like, it doesn't have to be blanket, because, like you were saying, like, I know with your ticket salespeople that, like, you have dashboards that they can see what's going on.
Yeah, we have them on TVs in their area.
Sponsorship probably doesn't need that information or to see that information, but it's helpful for them to understand where they're at compared to their peers. And
well, another piece of that is that, so we have a system that tracks behind the scenes maintenance stuff that happens throughout the game, right?
24/7.
24/7. So if you're here and you have a broken seat or a broken cup holder, or
someone throws up in the aisle,
we need cleanup. Or we need handicap assistance or a wheelchair or whatever. All of that activity is tracked in this system. So what we've decided, and what we thought was really good, again, to enhance the fan experience, is, let's say a fan comes in and they have a broken seat and they have to wait, or their cup holder, and so they need that information. Well, we've tied that back now to say, okay, is that fan a season ticket holder member? Do they have a ticket representative? And their ticket manager or their ticket rep needs to know that information so that they can close the loop the next day, right? So we decided, even though our ticket sales people don't need to know everything that happens throughout the game for the operational side, that piece of data is important for them to service their customers and to service the fan, so that we can make sure that the issue was taken care of to their desire, to whatever they needed.
Yeah. I think I saw a question, Justin Jones, about what different sources do the Rangers use? Like, where is the data? And so like you've talked about for retail and concessions, that's Delaware North.
Delaware North. So we have our ticketing system. We're on tickets.com. Parking is Park Hub. I'm trying to think. So we have 50/50 our data. We have bump 50/50 with our
for
the foundation data or 50/50 drawing. But then we have so many other.
You talked about 24/7.
24/7.
IMS, I think, is
Yeah.
a specific tool.
IMS 24/7. But we have so many other pieces.
Survey data.
Survey data that, a lot of data comes from MLB. We're very fortunate in that.
I think you also use Qualtrics.
Qualtrics is for our survey analysis.
Contracts through.
Well, we used to have it somewhere. We've switched. But
CRM is Salesforce.
Salesforce. Yep. I'm trying to think. There's so I'm trying to.
It's so many, and it used to all be separate.
Right. And but we have hundreds of workflows now through Alteryx that bring all this stuff in. And good and bad. It's so automated that sometimes I don't even remember sometimes what some of the sources are because we've set it up. Once we touched it, very rarely do we have to go back and do anything with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those people, a lot of MLB stuff, a lot of MLB data around our marketing and our fans and social media and things like that. Yeah. What else could you think of? I mean, our payroll we use Workday. We're using Now Stuff for scheduling. I haven't plugged into that yet, but that's on the list. We have weather data that we just get, and it's open source, right? It's just out there. Weather information.
For whether or not the roof's going to be open.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about 24/7 IMS, and one of the fan experiences things that we had talked about was like some of the premium seating and how you guys started to see stuff come through 24/7 that kind of alerted you to a potential issue.
Yeah. So we have a lot more premium areas now and opportunities that include all you can eat food and drink. So
any drink.
Yeah. Mostly any drink. Yeah. Everybody can understand what that means. So I kind of got clued in from our operations department that, hey, can you do some analysis? Because we get the gut feel. We think there are a lot more issues as we go further in the game. Can you put that together to quantify that for us and just to see if the data really backs up what our gut feel is? And we were realizing that we had a lot more security issues as we went further along in the game in areas that are considered premium areas where you want that people are paying a lot of money to be there. So you want that fan experience to be elevated for those folks that are in those areas. So we're like, okay, now we see that really is something that's happening. Let's increase security presence down there. Let's do some things around kind of controlling that a little bit better to make that experience more enjoyable.
Yeah. Without the fans, it's not near as much fun.
No, we know. We really do know.
COVID year? Yeah.
Yes.
No kidding.
Hey, Michelle.
You got another question for us?
Yeah, we got quite a few more. I love this question. So, and you've kind of answered some of it, but I'll just ask it again. As you started down your journey and you added data gathering capabilities, how many questions did you already know that you wanted to answer versus how many did you answer when you built the reports? Did you go in knowing we want to answer all of these things, or did you learn it as you started getting data in and did the kind of the art of the possible happen?
Well, it's fun actually for me. There were certain levels of things that we knew that we needed to answer. There were certain things that we just knew that our managers or our people that were responsible for making the decisions needed to know. But what's fun is once you give them that data and they start exploring it and they see other things that you can put together, they come up with so many other questions and so many other rabbit holes to go down. It's like, I didn't even think about that because that's not my job. My job is to give them the data, right? Their job is their job, like partnerships. Their job is to sell and to create partnerships. There are things that they do that I don't know, but once they have the data, they start asking the questions related to what their experiences are and what their knowledge is, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great question. We can do that for you. Let's go down that path. So, and it's evolving, right? We're constantly asking more questions. It's not a process that stops or that has stopped.
But it helps to know where you want to start.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Again, way back when we had a member of each of the marketing, the ticketing, the IT all together, we were boots on the ground. We kind of knew, because we all knew our specific areas of expertise, what might be important for the marketing department or what might be important from a CRM standpoint. So that's where we started, because we said, okay, these are the things that we've always wanted to know in the past. Let's start there and then see what happens. See what other questions come up. See what other avenues and rabbit holes and other information that we can tie together to get deeper and get better at making decisions.
Yeah. And Justin, I'm not monitoring the chat, but I did see one that came across that just asked, like, does your analytics team still fall under IT or?
No, actually we're where would we fall? I'm trying to think of it. It's kind of through the ticketing and marketing leg, if you will. So we were more under we're under our CRO now, our revenue officer, chief revenue officer. So it's more on the revenue side, because we still really do focus on the ticketing and the marketing, but we're not under, I know a lot of business analytics are either under like a ticketing or a marketing or a IT, and we're kind of like ticket marketing kind of thing.
Cool. Justin, next question.
Kind of a data modeling question. So how do you easily relate all of this data with differing base keys from different tools into a concise data model?
So for us,
dates are a big deal.
Dates
and times.
Dates and times are a big deal. And again, whenever we're looking at operational reporting for an event, it goes back to this gumbo data that we get from the league. Because to us, it's important where we are in the game. So it tells us at this particular time, we were in this half inning. We were, it's inning, half inning. And then we relate that back to, okay, this minute with any other transaction happened at this time in the game.
Yeah, so you're aggregating it in
exactly
like a date dimension.
Yeah. Other things could be related to a fan. So we have someone who buys a ticket, right? And we can relate them. If we have the data, if we have the relational data or the specific data, we can relate, okay, you've bought this kind of a ticket plan. Have you also bought concessions, and what have you bought, or retail? So then we can say, hey, we're hoping, we're not quite there yet.
You see
but
almost 360 of a fan?
Almost, but not really, because there's some of the concessions and retail data, we don't get that fan information. But if let's say you're a season ticket holder member and you're using your discount to buy like concessions or retail, then we would know, hey, your favorite beverage is this, or, and that just helps us service them better.
Of course.
Right. Or give them opportunities to, or we saw that you had spent so much on, or another thing that we can use it for is we've seen that you've used your discount this many times. That has saved you X amount of money.
Ooh, that's nice.
So it helps with whenever we come up with for renewals, like, look, it really makes a difference that you're a season ticket holder member and you get this level of a discount.
Yeah.
Because this is what it has. This is the bottom line of the money that it has saved you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Justin, I think we got room for one or two more. Any that we don't answer here, Machelle and I will follow up and put something together in a follow-up email to everyone that attended.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Just a couple more. So I like this one, kind of a change management type question. How do you get buy-in from executives to use different dashboards and make more data-driven decisions?
So I know that is a big problem within some other organizations. We have been very fortunate to have some really good leadership and sponsorship within executives that they are using it. Right. So when they are sitting in a meeting and they're referencing the dashboards and they're talking about Tableau, and they're saying, look, you can get it there. We've never really had that challenge here. I think it's because they see what we can provide to them, and they have used it enough now that they see the
Now.
benefit. They use it enough now, right? I mean,
Yep.
they used it whenever we would first give it to them.
Yep.
But there's a level of trust that you have to establish there.
Yeah.
Right. So we were very conscious of establishing that trust and saying, look, and we would show
These numbers are right.
these
You
numbers, like,
can trust these.
here's what we're getting versus here's how you would get it out of the other system when you were doing it before. And we would show that they are the same.
Yeah.
So we we established that level of trust very early.
Yeah.
And that has helped a lot. But we have had really good sponsorship with our executive team.
I think that a couple other things in that for you guys specifically is you've come a long way.
We have.
But even like with the hot dog number, like it was a year and a half or so before it came up, but you guys are ready to move and you
Yeah.
already had it. And I think a lot of that is just, if you build it, they will come, to use a nice little baseball movie reference, that you don't know if they're going to come or not.
Yeah, right.
But when and if they do, if you're ready to go and they go, oh man, that was easy. Like, well, what else can
What
we
else
ask
can
you?
you, right?
Yeah, what else can we ask you about?
Yeah.
And then I think you've also, for your executives, made the barrier to entry like really, really low, because none of us like to have to log into 12 different things to go find this one thing.
Yeah.
And so I know that you guys use Tableau Mobile.
That wasn't originally. I mean, originally
Not originally.
we pushed it all to Tableau server.
Yep.
And set that up. But then once I think it was in 2022, maybe 2023, we started using Tableau Mobile.
Yeah,
So
which
now they can
from
get
Tableau server.
from
Yeah.
Tableau server.
They're able to just go to the app on their phone.
Yep.
And we help you guys set up a reverse proxy in front of it so they can go right in and it's still
Yeah.
secure. And then you guys
It-
also have displays
Yeah.
with the dashboards on it in the executive box.
In our operations, like for a game day, we have an area where it's operational stuff, right? And there's, I think, 4 or 6 TVs up there
Yeah.
that display different parts of the dashboards real time. So our executive, he doesn't yeah, exactly. He doesn't have to be clicking through all the different dashboards because he's already watching security cameras. He's already watching the weather. He's already watching so many other things. So just pop it up there. So that's one less click or thing that he has to have open on his computer.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll wrap there. Justin, we'll take a look at any other questions that came through the Q&A and make sure that we address those. But just wanted to thank Machelle again for
It's the chat.
hanging out, the chat, whatever you want to call it. It's always fun. I am more than happy to chat with anybody else. I love these kind of relationships, and if you want to follow up, I'd be happy to follow up with you directly. There's a link here to my calendar through Calendly, and so if you want to find a 30-minute block and have some additional discussion, I'd be happy to do that with you. When we send out the recording and the answers to the additional questions, we'll include the link there too. But thank you all for attending, and thank you, Machelle, for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. We appreciate your partnership. Believe me, we could not do this without you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.